Let's talk about cast iron pans. Cast iron. Oh, cast iron. Okay, so I love cast iron. Cast iron is tricky. If you don't understand it and you think you hear about everybody loving cast iron and using their cast iron pans, and you go and you make something like you go make scrambled eggs and then you get scrambled eggs that are stuck to your pan that you barely can get off, and you wonder why exactly do people love their cast iron pan? I'm going to show you why people love their cast iron pan. It takes one step of work, not every single time, but you know, I do it maybe once every third time. It just depends. You just kind of pay attention. So here's what we got right now. Okay. This is my really big cast iron pan. I don't know what size it is, but it's big. And you can see it's not looking so great on the inside. I actually burned something on it the other day, so I've been scraping that off, trying to get that off. That was just my fault, pure neglect. This has been washed, and I will tell you about the wash step. But let's do the seasoning step first. I think you're gonna find that depending on who you talk to, people probably have their own method that they use. This is the method that I use. It seems to be working. If it stops working, I'll do something else. I take a little bit of oil and I pop it in the pan. I may have put too much in, but I'm doing this on camera. All right, so now I've got my oil in. Now this will be fine. And I'm taking a paper towel. Mostly I'm using a paper towel. You could use a reusable paper towel, piece of cloth. I'm doing this because I did do some burning the other day. And I'm just gonna take the paper towel and rub this in. This is a dry pan. And I am just rubbing it with the oil. I'm gonna rub all the edges. I usually rub the handles as well. And I just get that worked in. There is this area here with a little bit of burn. It's fine. Okay, so that's step number one, is just doing that, rubbing it with the oil. Now, one of the ways that I can get the burn spots off, in addition to scraping it, is with salt. I can rub salt on there, and you can rub salt on here anytime you want. You might feel really good about using salt. It'll kind of like disinfect it for you if you're feeling weird about not using soap. All right, let's go over to the stove. So over here I have a pan that is a little hot, and I probably shouldn't have just grabbed it. It's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. This is a cast iron pan that has been washed and then just set on the stove. Okay, so I used this morning, and then what I did is I took my handy dandy cast iron pan brush. You can find these all sorts, they sell copper, like metally ones. I just like a nice bristle brush. Every now and then I'll have to use something to scrape it, like a little wooden spoon or a metal spatula, but for the most part, this brush works great. If something is stuck onto the cast iron pan, I will soak it first. This pan was scrubbed with the brush. It was wet. I put it on the stove, just as is. It has been seasoned very recently. You can see it's oily, not just from the seasoning, but from the last time I cooked in it. The eggs I made, I used oil to cook them. What I do is I turn the heat on high for a very short amount of time. Now, if you have a gas stove, you'll have to adjust accordingly. I don't have a gas stove. I let it get hot like that. So remember, this is a wet pan, right? Just washed it, putting it down, turning it on high for a minute till it gets the burner hot, and then I turn it off and I walk away, and that's it until next time. So here is my pan that I just seasoned, that we just seasoned together. I'm putting this on the burner, letting it get hot just for a moment, because my burners get hot fast and they stay hot. If yours don't, you can leave it on a little bit longer till you feel the heat. Because I have ADHD, I can't walk away. I can't turn that on really fast and walk away. I either have to set a timer or I have to promise myself I will just stand here and count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I turn it off and go do something else. So I can get really distracted. I have smoked the house out. I have burned pans. It's just not, it's not worth it because these are so valuable. These are so loving. These are so good. Now I am just gonna let it sit and this will be fine. If you are seasoning a brand new pan, let's say you just got a cast iron and it's not seasoned and you want to season it, you have the option to completely cover it in oil and then put it in an oven at a very low temperature and just slowly let that oil work its way into the pan from the heat of the oven. There are people that I do think do the oven every time they season it. I don't. I just rub the top with the oil, I throw it on a hot burner, and I call it good. If that method stopped working for me, I would certainly do something else. Now, I did mention salt. I only have a seasoned salt right here, but let's go with it. What you can do is you can put some salt in like this, and you can just rub that salt in. I'm not going to use my hand because it's hot, so I can just take, I'm not going to talk while I do this. That's it. So I've just taken the paper towel with the salt, I've rubbed it in really well. It helps pull up any yucky bits off the bottom of the pan, and then I can just walk over to the sink and kind of just wipe that in, put it back on the burner and let it be. Now my cast iron lives on my stove because that's what I primarily use. If I were to put these away somewhere, you are going to have to be, and you're not using them all the time, you do want to make sure that you're probably not storing a pan that's really, really sticky with oil somewhere where you could have cobwebs or, you know, dust. So I might just make sure that it's okay and give it one quick wipe. But while this looks slick, it is not dripping with oil. This is not a pan dripping with oil. This is a seasoned cast iron pan. Now here's why this is so important. Let's cook an egg, okay? Let's cook an egg. I'm gonna turn the burner on and I have to go get my oil. So we're just gonna cook an egg here. I had a dirty egg that I didn't want to put in the basket, so we'll just use that one. I'm going to put a tiny bit of oil once the pan heats up. Just smush that oil around. And remember, this pan is already really slick. Now, if you did this on a cast iron pan that was not seasoned, even if you put oil in, you're going to run the risk of things sticking. It's not going to be a non-stick cast iron. Okay, so that's why this step is very important. Then, I don't know, how do you cook fried eggs? I wait till it gets kind of hot. I wait till the whole thing heats up a little bit. Put my hand here, turn it up for the purposes of making this faster for the video. I'm just gonna hold my hand over it for a minute. So what we want to see is that, is this seasoned cast iron pan? What we want to see is if the seasoned cast iron pan will allow us to cook a fried egg, be completely non-stick, and then just wipe clean afterwards. Like, we really won't have to do much at all. So let's try it out with this awfully dirty egg. I'm not even going to show you this egg. Don't look at this egg. It's embarrassing. All right, here we go. Okay. Now, if this doesn't work, will I actually show you or will I scrap this footage? We shall find out. All right, sizzle, sizzle. Here we go. Let's add a little salt, a little pepper. Beautiful fried egg. Thank you, chicken. All right, and then should we just check it? Look, see? It moves. It's just like a nonstick pan right now. I'm not ready to flip it, but I just wanted to show you that. I like to swirl it, get the oil around it. All right, are we ready? It's so good looking. Here we are. I'm gonna see if we can do it. There we go. Look, there's barely anything there. I could just kind of wipe that right up, and there's our egg. I put in too much olive oil because sometimes I do, because I'm used to cooking like 4 or 5 eggs at a time. I'm not used to cooking just one egg. I'm going to turn the heat off. I'm going to move that off the burner. I want to show you beautiful fried egg. For the purposes of video, I have to do this. I mean, throw that on a piece of toast and make anyone happy. Okay, so the fried egg, I normally wouldn't have let it spill over in the pan because I like to do that on the plate, but here's our fried egg. Beautiful egg, wonderful little treat. And then you can see the pan just looks like a pretty oily pan. Ow, ow, ow. A nice oily pan like this. So couple options that I would have at this point. If I know I'm going to be using this again relatively soon, I will just leave it right here. I could come cook a grilled cheese in here right now for somebody. I could do whatever, but if that grosses you out, you don't want to do that, you want to clean it, fine. So you're going to let this sit. You have 2 options. One is you can just wipe it out when it cools. This will already be seasoned. We're not seasoning this again. This is good to go, especially because of all the oil I had in there cooking the egg. So you're just basically going to wipe out the pieces of egg that are, in there still. They're not stuck. Remember that, because you seasoned your cast iron pan. They're not stuck. The other option is once this fully cools off, you bring it over to the sink. You use that brush that I showed you. No soap on your cast iron pan. Cast iron pan accepts flavor. Everything you put on it, it accepts it. And if you want your food to taste like soap, you use soap. Now, the exception to the rule for this would be for me. If I bought a second-hand cast iron pan, I would first take it home, do a little bit of soap, give it a good scrub in. Not a ton of soap, mind you, just a little tiny bit. Nothing with a scent, nothing like that. And then I would rinse it really well. I would season it, but I would never use soap again. That would just be my preference, what I would do. All right, so let's say you just washed this in the sink, right? So you made your egg, you let it cool, you took it to the sink, you used your brush. You would then bring it back here, wet. I wipe the bottom. So I would wipe the bottom off before I put it on a hot burner. Put it on here, do exactly what I showed you before. Turn it on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Turn it off, let it sit, and you are good to go. So this is what my stove looks like at most times. I'll have my kettle, my spoon rest, and my cast iron pans. I do have a cast iron pot that I do put away after it's seasoned and dried. And then I have a secondary smaller cast iron pan that I kind of rotate the 2 out. And that's that. Let's eat our egg. How does it taste, you ask? It tastes amazing because like I said, everything that you have cooked on that cast iron pan, any like beautiful fats and oils and flavors and salts and peppers. It's all part of it. There's nothing like a perfectly cooked fried egg. It's a little bit, it's a little bit crispy on the edges and then super soft and runny in the inside. That was so good, I want another one. And luckily it's lunchtime, so perfecto. What did I have for breakfast? Oh, I had leftover frittata for breakfast, so I probably won't have another one. Okay. To summarize, cast iron, no soap, use a little scrub brush to clean it. Always make sure that you have dried it really well. If you put it on the burner to dry, you won't get any rust. I find that leaving it, like putting it in my upside down on a dishcloth, still sometimes gets me rust. So I just always put it on the stove, put it the burner on, give it a quick heat, season it maybe once a week, every few times, whatever works for you. Not a big deal. And then using salt if you need to kind of give it an extra scrub and a layer of what might feel like more of a disinfection to you if you feel a little weird not using soap. Okay. If you do not own a cast iron pan, the brand that I would suggest is Lodge. That double size cast iron pan is from Target, and I'm suspicious of it. I have to season it way more than any other cast iron pan I've ever had. I'm suspicious of it. I don't know. So at some point I'm gonna be switching that out to a Lodge. My pot is a Lodge, the two smaller ones. It's just a good brand. So if you're investing, do it that way. If you want to go look secondhand, I do see them quite often. I do run into cast iron. I'm gonna want my cast iron to not look like somebody did not know what they were doing and literally baked on every single thing that they ever cooked, and it's gross and it's a mess. I'm not gonna mess with that. Some rust, however, that could be somebody got a cast iron pan, had no idea what they were doing, it rusted, they got freaked out and gave it away. That's a really quick fix. You go in, you soak it, you wash it. I wouldn't even use soap. I would just scrub it, season it, maybe you wash it again, season it again, and you should be good to go. That rust will come right off. That was fun. If that was fun for you, please consider subscribing. I'd love to have you here as part of the support for the channel. If you like this video, hit thumbs up, leave a comment, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Look at that. It's like a duck now. I just rinsed off the salt that I had put on there. I'm not showing you that because I'm just not showing you that. Anyway, I rinsed it off. It's like a duck now. So I'm just gonna heat this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure it got hot. Turn it off. Let it be happy. Can you see how much better that looks from when we started? So much better.